The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hello and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
the creepy and ominous doom-saying graveyard caretaker that is Eric Velazquez. My pronouns are also he, him.
So this week, as we mentioned last week, we're talking about Monster Brawl, which we thought would be
Monster Brawl!
Yeah, we thought it'd be kind of a fun way to cap off the Santo movie since it's, another wrestling monster movie, but it's very different than the Santo movies.
Oh yeah, no, there's no Lucha Libre. This is wrestling.
Yeah. Although it's made in Canada, it feels very like Southern America.
So many of the things they're like, oh, this is ancient, or this is Greece. No, that's fucking a Midwest, either Michigan, Indiana, parts of Kentucky. Yeah, no, that's hard Midwest. So much of this is probably made either in the South or Midwest. But, I guess if you've watched Letterkenny, there is a strong tendon joining all of those areas together.
Yeah, and so going through the Santo movies, like talking about like where the plot might be a little thin and we're adding some wrestling scenes, like this movie basically doesn't really have a plot.
No, it is wrestling with a little bit of story.
Like, it's basically, like, some people were, like, watching WWE or whatever, and we're like, we all have kind of come to accept at this point that wrestling is, very talented athletes acting out, choreographed scenes with moderate acting abilities.
Wait a second, it's not real? How dare you? No.
So they just were like, hell yeah, let's just, like, lean into this. Let's just do it and, like, make it into a movie. And
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
All right, so we get a kick out of this. We get Lance Henriksen as apparently the voice of God.
I caught that too in the credits.
Right. But he's really the Mortal Kombat guy.
Yeah. Yeah, at the beginning he does some like narration stuff, but mostly it's like, the guy that's like flawless victory. It's just that, but Lance Henriksen.
Mm-hmm. Which is fine. I mean, that's fine. Yeah, but there's a world of monsters out there, Anthony.
Yeah, and so he's telling this sort of, that there's this hidden world that men are not familiar, not aware of, and we get a couple like a montage of seeing some of the monsters. You see the Cyclops working in his blacksmith shop. You see a crate that says Alexandria, Egypt. Mm-hmm. You see like a spooky woman on a flight of stairs, and a doctor like escorting the monster, like helping him walk down a hallway. Mm-hmm. And then, we also, there's like a zombie creature chained up in quarantine, a swamp creature, and then we just see a wrestling ring.
Right. By the way, if you miss anything in the scene, don't worry, it's going to come back because this is all just reused footage later.
Yeah, definitely.
It's from all their intros, basically.
And so we're introduced to our two announcers, who are played by Dave Foley from Kids in the Hall and Art Hindle, but they're known in this as Buzz and Sasquatch Sid
Tucker. I love it. That's the best name in the world.
And it's kind of this, like Sasquatch Sid is supposed to be a retired wrestler, which if you watch wrestling, the announcers are all like retired wrestlers, so it makes sense.
He's our Jerry the King Lawler for you old WWE fans.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, whereas I'm guessing, what is his name? Not Heyman. But basically, Buzz, what's his name? Buzz Chambers, yes. is basically just the other guy.
Yeah. And his main personality trait is that he is like drinking from a flask the whole time, basically.
He doesn't want to be here. He's getting underpaid, presumably, and he just wants to get drunk.
Yeah. And it's Dave Foley, so he's one of the high points of the movie, although he's pretty underused. Like, they could have made better use of him, I think.
Absolutely. Like, he gets a couple good bits here and there, but nothing like he should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we kind of just, like, set up what this contest is. And I've seen this before, but it's been a while, and I was thinking there was more of an explanation for why this had to happen. There's not really. Like, it's basically like... This wrestling promoter decided that he wanted to see some monsters fight, so he went around the world and tried to like recruit monsters.
Okay,
and that's it. Like,
let's talk about this guy though. He's the most relatable character in this fucking thing, because he's like, yeah, when I was a kid, I used to do kung fu matches in the backyard with my friends, and then we would go inside and watch monster movies. I'm like, preach, brother, preach. Yes.
Yep, that's very Midwest. I mean, I don't know, right? Maybe other places too, but in the Midwest, it's like, yeah, you know, we got a bunch of pizzas, had some Mountain Dew, you know, smashed some stuff in the backyard, and then sat around watching movies in the dark.
Exactly.
Yep. So we find out there's 8 monsters in the tournament. There's 4 undead and 4 creatures that are kind of like the you know, it's like the brackets. They're the divisions. So we've got in the undead division, there's the mummy and the lady vampire, zombie man, and Frankenstein.
By the way, I love that they don't call it the zombie. It is Zombie Man. Yeah. That is his actual name.
Yeah. And then in the creature division, we have the Cyclops. We have a witch.
Which bitch?
Witch bitch. Yep.
Not even the witch, just witch bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like who did that? Who was the guy or girl or whoever was like, let's add bitch to it to make it more edgy.
And in the story, they do determine like the witch chooses that name, so it's not like they're just calling her that for no reason.
I mean, they kind of are, but also she like adopts it as armor to a degree.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like she has the saddest story out of everybody, I think.
Yeah, for real.
Well, her and our next contestant may be Swamp Gut.
Yeah. Which Swamp Gut is probably the weirdest one because there's not like he's not a direct correlation to anything else. He's kind of like a little bit of swamp thing kind of thing, or like a little Sasquatchy, but they say he's reptilian.
So it's kind of like they didn't want the creature from the Black Lagoon and they didn't want Swamp Thing, but they kind of wanted both.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it is. It's a reptilian swamp creature.
Yeah, and he is also sort of the butt of a lot of like fat jokes. If the gut in his name didn't give that away.
By the way, can let's go ahead and edge that that content warning in there. So yeah, there's going to be some slurs for individuals of the Roma ethnicity and group. There's also going to be a lot of fat phobia in there. So especially where Swamp Gut's concerned.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we've got the werewolf, who also has when they show his backstory, it's pretty tragic too.
Yeah. Oh, my boy, the werewolf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then we're introduced to Jimmy Hart, the Mouth from the South. You know, bringing in some real wrestling royalty into this movie. Mm-hmm. And he's another high point.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you've ever seen him, he's just being himself, and it's fun. Like, he's introduced, he's like on a horse-drawn carriage, like you see at the beginning of like Dracula or whatever.
Yeah, with a hunchback pulling him.
Yeah. And he's just yelling at the guy like, hurry up, I'm gonna be late. Speed up, if we get a ticket, I'll pay for it.
Right. I just love that bit. It's like they're already clearly in the necropolis, as they call it. So it's like, come on, man, you're not that late. Come on, it's fine. All right, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got his like famous Mouth from the South megaphone that's got like the paint in it to make it look like a big mouth, and he's just hilarious.
Yeah, so it's at this point we're introduced to Jack Blackburn, aka the wrestling promoter that you were talking about earlier. The guy who wanted to do kung fu and watch monster movies and said, hey, let's put them together because monsters are real. And yeah.
And so is wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. Because this isn't just regular wrestling. These are all fights to the death.
Yeah.
So this is real.
This isn't scheduled for one fall pins. No. This is like
to the death.
Death matches.
Yep.
he even like goes so far as to like to explain why this is like a movie you're getting to watch and not like, you know, a pay-per-view special or whatever. This is done in this secret graveyard being filmed without an audience because it's monsters. You know, we didn't.
It's not safe.
Yeah, it's not safe. So we were filming this in secret and then releasing it to the world. And they say it's a secret graveyard in Michigan is where they have located this. So I think that's because it's Canadians who want to make something American. So they're like, Michigan.
That's
maybe
close.
they won't notice we're Canadian.
Yeah.
So then we get the announcers and they interview the groundskeeper that you mentioned.
Cyril Haggard, baby.
Yeah, he's also a really good high point of the movie. He's a lot of fun.
I warned you not to do this. You're all doomed.
Yeah, he's totally the crazy Ralph, but he like leans into it super hard.
Right. So he's also in like a lot of makeup, and the bones around his eyes look like they're jutting out. And I'm like, oh, so this guy's either a zombie or maybe a demon, or maybe he's the big bad. No, he's just Cyril. That's him. That's just who he is.
Yeah. And he actually he's Swamp Gut also. Mm-hmm. That actor is
Jason David Brown.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of double duty with when you got these, you know, guys in, you know, in their costumes, they can kind of double up. I think an actual Canadian wrestler who his name's RJ Skinner, but I forget, he has a wrestling name that's something different. It's RJ something. Mm-hmm. RJ City.
Yeah.
He is the mummy and the werewolf.
Right. Oh, my boy. Sorry.
But yeah, I think he gets to do the most as the groundskeeper though, for sure. Like he's got more lines and stuff, and he's a lot of fun.
Yeah. But at this point, we're also introduced to the kind of, sort of, but not really ref, Herb Dean.
I know he's involved in MMA.
He's actually an MMA ref.
Okay, I wasn't sure if he was a ref or like a fighter that they were using as a ref, but he's the ref. But like right from the beginning, he's like, there are no rules. This is just a standard death match.
Right.
So I don't know why they need a ref, and you'll quickly find out that nope, they don't need a ref.
Right. He's just kind of there. As he mentions, he's like, I'm just trying to keep low blows from happening, and it's like, these are monsters. I don't know if that applies, my dude.
And that's pretty much all he does is there's a low blow, and he's like, hey, stop that. And then he is taken off the board pretty quickly after that.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in the matches. Because that's kind of fun.
Yeah. So then, we get introduced to our first two competitors, the Cyclops and Witch Bitch.
So we cut to the Ionian Islands, which looks, as I mentioned to Anthony, it looks extremely Midwestern in a Midwestern barn. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I've been in that barn, and I know that smell. And if you've been in a Midwestern barn, you know that smell. That musty, like, metallic, slight rust smell. Oh, yep, it's awful. Yep. But that's where he is, and he's smithing something.
Yeah, so they're kind of doing they're like, it's sort of like the, like the Vulcan or Hephaestus, the blacksmith.
Yeah.
So it's kind of playing with that whole thing, and he's a Cyclops, and he's like working. But the Cyclops makeup is probably one of the less good makeups of the movie.
Yeah, it ain't great. It's like they have got like some
sort of
gum around the middle of the forehead.
Yeah, just a big old, almost like a googly eye. It's
right.
So bad, just stuck on his forehead. And then kind of weird scars over the regular eyes, which I think are just like slashes so that he can actually see to wrestle pretty much.
Right.
But he gets like a messenger shows up and is like, monsters the world over are being summoned. And he's immediately like, oh, okay, I've been waiting for this.
Right.
My training starts to... Yeah. Oh, yeah, he goes into this whole, like, I can see the future. And the guy's like, well, then don't you know who's going to win? And his answer is real vague and, he doesn't say anything, basically.
He brings some shit out about honor, and it's like, okay, buddy, what?
Yeah, I don't know why they introduced that he could see the future. They just complicated things.
Right, yeah. It's like, just let him have his eye beams, because that's a thing that he has. Yeah. I never knew Cyclops had eye beams. This guy's like Balor from the Irish folklore mythology.
Yeah, and they even call it like laser beams, like not even just like lasers that existed, in
back in ancient
Greece.
Yeah.
But so then we get his training montage, which is mostly him just throwing rocks. For the most part.
I mean, you mean styrofoam that's painted to look like rocks. But,
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
Oh.
And then we meet Witch Bitch. And so like, the Cyclops seems to be in ancient Greece, but okay, maybe like Greece, we don't know what Greece is like here in the, in the West. So sure, maybe there's still some very rural parts of Greece. But now we meet Witch Bitch, who is in Massachusetts. And theoretically this is present day, but it is not.
Right. It's like it's a weird mishmash of the 1950s, 1800s, or maybe actually probably 1700s and modern day. So
yeah, like they're trying to go for like the Salem witch trials era witch thing, like she's dragging a cart and people are like yelling at her and spitting on her,
right, literally,
and somebody calls her a witch bitch. Yeah.
What?
And for some reason, she's a witch in Massachusetts and has like a Cockney British accent.
Right.
But then, like, when she gets home, there's a knock at her door, and it's a little person who introduces himself as the Grub, and he's wearing like a pinstripe suit of like the gangster era kind of thing,
like 1950s almost, with a pork pie hat.
Yeah. So, I don't.
By the way, I don't know if maybe he's meant to be an imp or something else, because he also has pointy ears.
They call him a troll a couple of times.
Yeah, maybe that's what he is.
But he's mainly just a regular guy,
right.
with slightly pointy ears. Like they didn't do any kind of troll makeup to him or anything.
No.
So then he kind of like talks to her and is like,
you could be a contender.
Yeah.
You could be the best.
Yeah, it convinces her that like this is the way that she can gain respect of the townspeople. Yeah. So finally she agrees. And then her training montage is just
beating the shit out of the guy who was an asshole to her earlier.
Yeah, but they're like wearing boxing gloves, like
right.
modern boxing gloves. It's just like boxing match.
Right.
And yeah, and at that point he's like, "What? We gotta sign up for the tournament. What do you want your name to be?" And she's like, "Witch Bitch."
Right. By the way, like he explicitly tells her, "Hey, listen, you can't do the magic thing. You just got to do the fighting thing. We're going to make you a warrior." It's like, no, let her lean into the magic thing. Do the magic thing. You're just wanting to save on the budget, you bastards.
Yeah.
Sorry. And by the way, I didn't mention this, but Witch Bitch is played by Holly Leckerman, who is apparently a pretty good wrestler. At least she's fairly well known.
Yeah, it seems like she's one of the few that has like credits and stuff. Like she's got, like on IMDb, there's a picture of her holding a wrestling belt and in her makeup and everything. Yep. So that once we get like their two sort of like intro scenes, then we're back to the tournament and we get like their stats.
Yeah, they cut promos.
Yeah, the promos are pretty great. Like just them yelling in front of a green screen, basically. And then we get like they're called forth from the crypts, and we've got the stone crypt and the wooden crypt.
Yeah,
but before they come out,
right? Yeah, I was about to say we got to mention the ring girls, because I was like, oh, like they step out in basically like skimpy leather boots and fishnets, blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh, are they sexing up the Witch Bitch? No, okay, these are just regular ring girls for Jimmy Hart. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and they like never go in the ring. Like they just both walk, and then they're standing on either side of Jimmy Hart, and then they've got like for each tournament there's like, or for each fight there's like banners with like each monster has like a logo,
right.
And they tear down the banner of the losing monster. That's pretty much all they do.
Yeah,
they're definitely the eye candy of the movie, just like in like tiny little black bikinis.
Pretty much, and they just spike the camera every time it comes by, and it's like, okay, all right, fair enough.
So then once they come and stand by Jimmy Hart, then we get into the match. And in the first one, it seems like the Cyclops is supposed to be the face and Witch Bitch is supposed to be the heel.
Right.
Because she comes in with a low blow pretty much right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. And, obviously, like we said, the ref's not having that. And he kind of, I want a good, clean fight kind of thing.
By the way, I do like the fact that Buzz calls attention to, like, he should just start the match and get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, that's what I would do. I'd be like, all right, match start,
sure.
Peace. You all do what you got to do.
But so he calls her on the low blow, but then right after that, the Cyclops gets out like his smithing hammer,
right.
and just starts beating her with the hammer.
And I'm like, oh, this is a quick match. All right, I got you.
But then the grub ends up like dragging a folding chair into the match, and so there's that going on. But then Witch Bitch ends up pulling out like a huge meat cleaver.
Yep. And instead of going directly for the Cyclops, no. She's got to get Herb out of there.
Yep, so she slits his throat. He falls out of the ring dead, like bleeding out of his neck, face down. And I thought there was going to be, because at the beginning when we had the groundskeeper, he's like, this ground is cursed and, you're pulling forth evil and all this.
Right.
And I was like, there's going to be something where like his blood seeping into the ground is going to do something.
Right.
And I don't think so. There's a thing that happens later, but I don't really think it's tied. They never say it's tied to it.
Nothing to do with Herb. Nothing to do with Herb. Nope. That saddens me. It's like that would have been a great part of the story.
Oh, definitely.
But they nope. Oh well.
But yeah, so that was we're in the first of 5 matches, and the ref is already gone from the picture.
Right. I guess they couldn't afford Herb for that long.
Yeah. So Witch Bitch goes for like an eye gouge on the Cyclops, and it's like, oh, this may be like the thing that gets her ahead. I mean, he's just got the one eye. This is the trick.
You underestimate the power of the eye laser. Because he busts that one out right away.
And yeah, so he just blasts her full on in the face.
Right.
And like by the time the laser beam finishes, her face is just all like, burnt and like shiny, like slime peeling off of it and stuff. Yeah, so she falls dead from that.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, the grub's not having it. He's very upset that his number one contender was out round 1. Within 5 minutes.
So yeah, he goes running in, and without any second thought, the Cyclops just punches his head
right
off.
I love it. And then we get Jimmy Hart laughing at the death of Herb, just pretty much like, "Yep, now I'm the only one in charge now." Which, of course, he has to contend with Buzz and Sid, but whatever.
Yeah, Jimmy's he's just like, I can't believe it. He's just so excited about everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. So then, we're moving on to the next match, and they kind of like these intro scenes that are sort of like separate are almost treated like commercial breaks. Right. Like they're like, we'll be back after this, and then they cut away. And so now we meet the Mummy. He's in the Metropolitan Museum in New York. Mm-hmm. We've got like a forklift driver carrying a crate. He like lowers it down, and instantly, like, the Mummy just starts punching his way out of the crate.
Yeah, by the way, I love this guy. Like, what's he doing? Does he not hear this Mummy just blasting through this crate?
He is wearing headphones, but I don't think they would be that strong. Like, they're not like big noise-canceling headphones. They're like the shitty little foam ones that you had when you were in, like, in junior high or whatever.
Well, yeah, because this thing's from 2011, by the way, so the technology, But yeah, I feel like he would at least hear or something would alert him.
Yeah, but no, the Mummy just comes up behind him and just kills him instantly.
Right. And then we get a cut to local Channel B, noting that there's a living mummy that's busted out of this fucking museum. By the way, that's no fanfare whatsoever. Just, there was a mummy, it busted out. It's on the loose. If you let your local humane society know that the mummy is out there and possibly endangering people.
And it's just, I mean, like, I don't know, I guess maybe in the universe of this movie everyone knows monsters exist, but like, the news isn't like, oh my god, there's a living mummy. It's just like, oh, by the way, there's a mummy on the loose. Like if there had been like a tiger escaped from the zoo. Like it's a big deal, but like, we know tigers exist, it happens. It's be careful, but whatever.
Right. By the way, we get the sheriff of New York. Which, what the fuck accent was he doing?
Yeah, it was definitely like a not Southern person trying a Southern accent.
But in New York.
Makes no sense. In New York, yeah.
It was like a mixture of New Jersey, Louisiana, and something else that I'm like, where were you going with this, man?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like Gambit from the X-Men with like Foghorn Leghorn mixed in or something.
And a little bit of Jersey every once in a while. Which, okay, I mean, I would have got if you stuck with Jersey, but all right, whatever.
And so then we cut away to Transylvania.
Feldorf, Transylvania. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, I don't know. It's like, are we talking about Romania? Because Feldorf doesn't sound like a name that should be in Romania. But, all right, no, it's just Transylvania. The mythical nation of Transylvania, I guess.
Yeah, and we've got like a vampire hunter who is like exploring around. It's like a palatial garden, you know, outside of like a big mansion, and he's got like a little tape recorder where he's like doing like little notes to self as he's like working on his investigation as he's tracking down a vampire.
Yeah.
And like he ultimately like he approaches the house and just like goes inside, and you know there is the lady vampire.
Right.
Up on this, yeah.
But instead of reacting like a normal person would, he's like, "Oh, hey, lady, you know, you mind letting me in?" Blah blah blah. I mean, yeah, she's shrouded in shadows, but she's also in an evening gown and swirling something in a glass, something red in that glass. So it's like, oh yeah, you're the vampire. Yeah, I mean, this is the middle of the day. You're in an evening gown. Yes, you're a vampire, probably.
And yeah, she comes up right on him, and then like they're like face to face. He's like, "Is that blood in your glass?" And it's like, dude, you're a vampire hunter.
Well, not only that, she's in full vampire, like Buffy vampire face makeup. It's like, yes, she's the vampire, you idiot.
Yeah. And so yeah, she basically like this is the original home of you know Vlad Dracul, and she's the last of her kind.
Dun dun dun. By the way, Lady Vampire is also played by Kelly Couture, who I believe I don't know if she still wrestles, but I know for a brief window of time she did.
Okay. Yeah, the two female characters have a little less makeup on, so they did actually have to spring for two different actresses for them.
Ah, dang.
And so, you know, of course, you know, it's the lady vampire. She, you know, kills the.
Well,
I think he shoots her first, right? And
yeah,
then
she gets ready to attack him, but he actually pulls out the gun and's like, "I'm going to arrest you." Okay, as you do with vampires, and he shoots her. She goes sliding back, and you know she's a vampire. Bullets. What? Really, you're a vampire hunter? Come on, man. But yeah, so she plays possum. As soon as he gets over the body, as all good idiots do, you hear a scream. Then a minute later, he runs out of the manor, clutching his neck, and blood's presumably pouring out of it. There's just a lot of red on his shirt.
Yeah.
So yeah, she made another one. Maybe, who knows? Probably.
And so then we're back to the tournament. We get, you know, more monster stats and promos. And the best part of this, so the mummy, he's just like grunting.
Right.
And then there's like subtitles under him, but the subtitles are just hieroglyphics. Which was like, that made me laugh. Like, that is a good joke.
Right.
And then right after that, we get one of my favorite lines from Buzz, from Dave Foley. He's like, I'm rooting for the lady vampire because I'll be damned before I cheer for a mummy. I've hated mummies my whole life.
Right. And they just let that hang there. It's just like, what do you mean? Nope, we're not going to get any explanation. He just hates mummies.
So then we cut to we start the match, and the mummy pulls off some like old school wrestling move. Like he reaches into his bandages and throws a handful of sand into the lady vampire's eyes.
He does pocket sand.
And like while she's sort of like dealing with that, he gets her in a sleeper hold and like actually seems to knock her unconscious.
Right. Which everyone around there should be like, what? What? She's a vampire. She doesn't need the thing that he's cutting off. Like, she doesn't need air, oxygen.
Yeah. But so he like climbs out of the ring and goes and like breaks off a piece of wood from like a grave marker or something, and you know has a stake. So he like gets back up into the ring, but of course, you know, then the lady vampire wakes up.
Yeah, she was playing possum, you know, as she does.
Yeah,
that's her go-to.
But then the mummy is like very resourceful. Then he has like an ancient medallion that is like hanging on one of the turnbuckles, and it somehow has like the power of the sun. And so he blasts her with sunlight, which seems like, okay, this should be the end of the match, right? Like, right.
Nope.
Sunlight on a vampire, but no,
not enough sunlight in that amulet.
I guess not.
He should have sprang for the more expensive model.
Yeah, so she like comes like running at him, knocks him out of the ring, climbs out with him, and starts like smashes a tombstone over his head, and then just punches his heart out.
Right. Which, you know, that's a pretty good end.
Yeah.
I do like how apparently God says black heart removal. He calls out the final move that Lady Vampire does on him.
Yeah.
And then, of course, she goes strutting off with the heart, you know.
Yeah. So then, you know, we go back to our messages or whatever, and it's we're in New Jersey.
Yep, Silver
there's
Springs, New Jersey.
We've got like a man in like flannel. He's like wandering the woods, and we keep cutting to like flashbacks where he's got like memories of like he's on a camping trip with his wife, who is murdered, and then like we see that she's been killed by a werewolf.
Right, and I love the fact that they then cut to him doing a training montage. Like, he's doing pull-ups, he's doing push-ups, he's lifting weights, he's getting in shape just so he could kill this fucking werewolf, man.
So he that's why we see him in the woods. He's tracking the werewolf down, and he finds him and does manage to kill the werewolf. But as you would expect, he gets bitten in the process. So now he's a werewolf.
Yep, and that's a pretty instant change. It's like he gets bit, shoots the werewolf, and then about 5, 10, 15 seconds later, boom, he's werewolf now.
Yeah, full on werewolf, like howls at the moon. Like his transformation is, much quicker than like, Wolfman or American Werewolf in London. Like, yeah, he turns fast. Yeah. So after he howls at the moon, then we cut to meeting our other fighter. We're in Louisiana.
We cut to Grizzly Planet, aka, like Animal Planet.
Yeah.
They're filming a documentary about Swamp Gut.
Yeah, so again, like, monsters being real in this world. This is just like, a TV documentary you'd watch when you're bored on a Sunday afternoon. Mm-hmm. But yep, it's all about Swamp Gut, the reptilian swamp monster that lives out where no people live. And he also he's sort of like an environmental sort of force. Like, he kills a fisherman who litters, and then there's like a guy on a canoe, and he doesn't really seem to do anything wrong. He just gets killed because I guess Swamp Gut still got to eat.
Well, the actual the person giving the voiceover mentions that only idiots walk into this part of the swamp, and this guy's acting like a moron, going doo 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 as he's paddling his canoe.
So yeah, the Swamp Gut one it's pretty short. It's mostly just like the dialogue from the narrator, and then we go back to our stats and promos, and this time we've got Swamp Gut. He also just kind of grunts and growls, but his subtitles are in English actually, and they are like environmental messages. Right.
And by the way, the werewolf is pretty articulate. For a werewolf, he's like, it really sucks that my wife and my kid died because of werewolves, but you know what? I'm gonna kill all these other monsters because I hate these other monsters.
Yeah, he's kind of got like the Blade thing going on where he's like, I know I'm a monster, but fuck the monsters. I'm gonna kill all the other monsters.
Right. I love it.
So then, we get to the match, and this is where you're like, yes, you're pretty much every mention of Swamp Gut is gonna have some sort of fatphobic language. Yeah.
Basically, his guts rupture, blah, 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 if he can move around with his massive bulk, blah, blah, blah. I will say, though, that Sid does drop a good line that he hasn't seen this kind of... Well, okay, during the fight, the werewolf starts working on the stomach of Swamp Gut and says, and I quote, I haven't seen this kind of stomach working action since King Hippo in 1988.
Yeah.
For all you Punch-Out fans.
Yeah, definitely, like, again, these are, like, nerds who grew up in the, the same time we did in the 80s or 90s. So, like, of course he's going to have to name drop Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Yeah.
I mean, I just want to believe that canonically this world exists in the Punch-Out world.
I mean, sure.
Right.
Yep. So you got a lot of those gut punches from the werewolf. Swamp Gut uses like some like acid vomit into the werewolf's face. Mm-hmm. This match seems like maybe one of the shortest. Like there's not much like. Yeah. Swamp Gut gets kind of knocked down. The werewolf ends up climbing the top rope and doing like a frog splash kind of move. And Swamp Gut just like explodes basically.
Right. He's the most fragile of monsters. And unfortunately, there are only 10 others left in the wild.
Yeah, so like adding to the environmental message, Swamp Gut is an endangered species as well. Yeah. Yep. So then we cut to our next sort of intros, and we're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is great. So this is the zombie intro, and of course, horror fans would know that that's the home of George Romero. So like, just a great little touch there.
I feel like they loved this one like either the most or second most to the one we're going to get to next, because there's a lot of care taken into this, okay? Like,
yes, agreed.
yeah, so we have basically strong Day of the Dead vibes. Like, and they even reference the event that happened in 69, Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And yeah, so it's like we're at a military facility, and we meet the Colonel, who's played by Kevin Nash.
Yes, sir.
So get a little bit more old school wrestling royalty in there. And he's like working, or he's got like another soldier. I don't know if he's ever named
Lieutenant Briggs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of discussing. So basically, the military is trying to use zombies as a weapon.
Right,
So
as they always do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So they've got one like chained up in a quarantine area. He's going to be like their perfect super soldier. But the military is starting to get a little wishy-washy that they're not sure this is a great plan. So the Colonel's idea is if we enroll the zombie in this monster tournament that's coming up.
Wait, you keep saying zombie. No, it's not zombie. It's Zombie Man. I love that they make it a point. Zombie Man.
Yeah.
It's like he's a superhero that's just a zombie.
Yeah. Yeah, so like the whole, they're going to try to like test to see how well he works in a fight, and also if he does well, then they can show that to the army and be like, look, the super soldier works. He killed, whatever. He killed some monsters in this tournament. So Nash is like, okay, go ahead or the Colonel, he's like, go ahead and unleash the zombie, and then of course instantly the lieutenant is just killed. Right. And the Colonel's like, oops, it just kind of like shuts the door like,
well, eat slowly. He was a good soldier. What? I mean, I guess take your time and enjoy him because now he's out of my hands. I don't know.
Yeah. And so then we cut to a place that we're all very familiar with here.
Ingolstadt.
Yes. And we're introduced, like, we've got like a voiceover thing here, and it's the journal of Dr. Igora.
Ivo Igora.
Yeah, so we're kind of like, instead of it being... this is kind of a nice little way to, not have a Dr. Frankenstein to confuse things, because we're going to be calling the monster Frankenstein. So the doctor here is, I guess, some relation to Igor down the line, Igora. And this guy, like, I don't think he was like a big actor at the time, but this is probably one of the more well-known actors since the movie. He's Ari Millen. He was the male clone from Orphan Black. So... if you've seen that, you saw a lot of him, especially in like the later seasons. But yeah, he's like bringing Frankenstein back to life. So this is like the existing Frankenstein monster that Dr. Frankenstein created, years before. It's, continuing the cycle of like the Universal movies where he's got to be revived every movie.
Right, yeah. But of course, the monster confuses him and calls him Father. Or, I'm sorry, Father.
Yeah. And so then we get the scene that we mentioned at the beginning where he's like kind of teaching him how to walk again, like helping him down the hallway.
Also, our boy Frankenstein, played by, once again, another bit of wrestling royalty, Robert Millet, otherwise known as the Kurgan.
Yes.
For those of you out there.
Yeah, he's actually been in a lot of things as an actor as well, I think.
He was in
like
Sherlock Holmes.
Pacific Rim and the 300. Oh, yeah. But yeah, he manages, in this movie that is mostly just like wrestling scenes. Like he does kind of get a little bit of pathos in there. You do kind of feel for Frankenstein to some degree.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so then we get the promos for and the stats for these two. And this is kind of like, you don't see this as much anymore, but like, back in the day, like there were a lot of times where the promos would be like the managers, and the wrestler was just like the big bruiser who would just stand there with his arms crossed while like, it was like Undertaker and Paul Bearer or whatever, where like
Paul Bearer would do all the talking and yeah.
Yeah. So this, like we have that in both cases where you've got like the zombie man and, the Colonel is doing the talking, which, of course, if you've got Kevin Nash, let Kevin Nash do a wrestling promo.
Let him do his thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He can cut a good promo.
Yeah, and then we also get, Dr. Igora doing his promo, which is like this weird, ominous poem.
Right.
Like, it's very strange.
Good for him, though.
Yeah. And then we get another little great one-liner as we're cutting to the match where it's Frankenstein's monster if you want to be a dick about it.
Exactly. Are you listening?
And so yeah, then we get the match, and This match felt the most like a real traditional wrestling match, probably because, you've got like old school wrestlers doing their thing here. I'm not sure about the Zombie Man, what his pedigree was, but yeah, it felt less gimmicky, more like actual wrestling. But we do end up getting both of the managers in the ring before too long. So like, I think Igora climbs in first and he like hits the Zombie Man.
Yeah, he tries to take out the zombie because apparently Frankenstein's not doing the job quick enough for him.
Yeah. But of course the Colonel's not having that, so he gets in the ring and just like kills Dr. Igora.
Yeah, he brings a hatchet out of nowhere. He's just whack in the back of the head or in his back.
Yep. And, so as you might imagine, like, Frankenstein now seeing his father killed goes into like berserker mode, and then like he manages to kill the Zombie Man by like crushing his head.
Yeah. Well, when he goes into berserker mode, he just beats the living snot out of Zombie Man, and you're like, oh, this is over. And yeah, he knocks Zombie Man down, stomps on his head.
Yeah, but something about the death of the Zombie Man calls forth all of the dead in the necropolis, and so now we have an army of zombies crawling out of their graves.
It's like hornets. They apparently had pheromones that once you killed them, it stirred up the entire nest.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like Frankenstein is walking back to his crypt and the zombies start kind of following him.
Right.
And like he just kind of gets to the door and turns around and just like growls at them all, and they just retreat. They're like, oh no, we're not having that.
Yeah, and apparently there were 6 of them that were getting ready to tackle him, but no, he's not having it. So those 6 decide, hey, let's go do something else while we're here and revive. So they do that. They eat the doctor for the most part. They then attack the Colonel, but then one finds his way into the announcer's booth.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
And he manages to bite Sasquatch Sid before they shoot him dead. Mm-hmm. So, but like Sid's like, oh, I'm fine. It's a,
I put some alcohol on it. We're good. It's disinfected. Yeah, we're good. Oh, and then Cyril basically cleans everybody up. He comes in and just starts shooting all the zombies.
Yeah. So, yep, all the zombies are taken care of. And so the way that this whole tournament works is that like the champions or the heavyweight champion from each round is then going to face off, or from each division, I guess, is going to face off. Mm-hmm. So like there was a middleweight and a heavyweight in each division.
Yeah, but we don't see Lady Vampire or who was the other one?
Cyclops.
Cyclops. Yeah, we don't see them. They don't make a comeback. They don't have.
Yeah, they're
match.
the middle. Yeah, the middleweights. I guess they won their weight class, so they're done. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the heavyweights being the werewolf and Frankenstein, they are now going to like face off for like the ultimate championship.
Yeah, and during their promos, I do like the fact that Frankenstein is basically like, you kill my father's dead, but I will defeat you. Let us join combat. And it's like, oh, he's being very eloquent in his desire to have a throwdown.
Yeah, I thought that was nice. They let him be the grunting monster for a lot of it, but like, as in like the book, like eventually the monster does start speaking. So like they let him do it, and it works. It doesn't feel too hokey or anything. Right. And of course, like the wolf, the werewolf is still kind of on his like same,
right.
I hate monsters, but yeah,
you're going down, Frank.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, as we said, he's still like a popular wrestler, and like you can tell this guy knows how to cut a promo. Mm-hmm. In the middle of all this, also like Sid calls Frankenstein the most legendary monster of all time. So I was like, yep. Yeah, we agree here, obviously.
I respect that. Yep, 100%. I mean, if you looked at his fight record, like he's 113-0. Like he's done some work.
Yeah. But as they're talking, like you start to see Sid's his bite is starting to have an effect. Like he's looking a little pale and sickly. Yeah. But then we get Frankenstein and the werewolf. They enter the ring.
Can we say? All right. Let me tell you this. Jimmy Hart made me so mad when he said this. It's like when they go to Jimmy Hart. He's announcing everyone. He's like, and the werewolf, Canis lupus. I'm like, dude, that's just a wolf. I mean, maybe like Canis lupus hominis or something like that. I mean, I don't know. That just irked me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm being pedantic, I know, but
Yeah, it seems like there would be just some kind of like fake
Right.
Latin classification for werewolf, like
Right.
Homo lupus or
Right. Yeah. All right, now that we're done with that.
So then, yeah, we get into the match, and like to start with, like the werewolf is just like going to town on Frankenstein, but he's just like standing there unmoved, you know, just like taking all the punches like it's nothing. And then finally, when he does, Frankenstein like knocks the werewolf. You know, he's doing some damage, and like one of the announcers is like, "Somebody call the Humane Society. We're witnessing extreme animal abuse."
Yeah. But let's talk about this. Like, well, okay, we'll have this conversation a little bit later because I definitely want to. But it's like these guys shouldn't be able to kill each other. This should be a stalemate match.
Oh yeah, I mean
Flat
they're
up.
both fully immortal, and yeah.
All right, but we'll yeah, let's go ahead and go on.
Yeah, this is almost like a sequel to Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
Yeah, in a way. But it turns out that hey, the werewolf is getting a couple good licks in, and Sid mentions this by saying the werewolf's really using his brains.
Yeah. Yeah, and the way he emphasizes brains, you know what's going on. Yeah, because he gets Frankenstein down and has him in like a leg lock, but then Frankenstein ends up getting loose and kind of does the same thing and like crushes the werewolf's head. And they declare victory. They lower the belt down to him. The belt's got all these like teeth and claws like sticking out of it. It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, Sid has now turned fully zombie and attacks Buzz.
Right.
And we get like the technical difficulty screen come up.
Then you hear pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, and Buzz is like kind of does like the in memoriam kind of thing of
Right.
like Sid was a great partner and stuff, but he had to go basically.
I do like the fact that he has a neck brace on. It's like, did he choke you a little? I mean, I guess maybe he did, but all right.
And like we're cut away for a couple seconds, and he manages to kill him and get a neck brace in that
on.
time. But sure, okay.
Yeah. This is pre-recorded, so who knows,
So now you've got Frankenstein. He's just like holding the belt up, roaring in victory. There's lightning because it's Frankenstein winning, so we got to have lightning going in the background.
Yep, the power gets knocked out. Uh-oh.
And yeah, so while the power goes out, the werewolf rises up and attacks Frankenstein, and so now the fight has moved back into the graveyard, and they're going back to town with each other, and Frankenstein pulls an entire stone column out of one of like the mausoleums or whatever and starts swinging it around,
Right, like a baseball bat.
Yeah, like this just massive baseball bat. The werewolf like dodges out of the way, then like dive bombs him and like breaks the column, and then just like starts lifting up one gravestone after another and smashing it over Frankenstein's head.
Just repeat it. By the way, when the belt falls and hits the ground, you hear the video game like stock sound of like gold clinking. It's like tick, 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 tick. It's like, come on, man, you all could have done better. All right, well, anyway, yeah. So at this point, it looks like, hey, the werewolf may have won. Well,
yeah. So now he's holding up the belt. He's howling at the moon. But of course, yep. Frankenstein rises up and choke slams the werewolf,
Right.
and then just like gets his hands in his jaws and pries his jaws apart, rips the top half of his head off.
Which, frankly, badass, but
Yeah, so that feels pretty definitive there, that Frankenstein has won, and he's walking out of the arena.
But wait, another door opens. Who could this new challenger be?
So the Colonel steps out. He is now a zombie.
Right.
So we got like zombie Kevin Nash face to face with Frankenstein, and they're both kind of staring each other down. And like then they both sort of like swing at the same time, like they're gonna punch, and then cut to
Abrupt
credits.
ending! Yay! Damn it! That was such a good tease. It's like, sequel bait.
Yeah. And then did you stay through the credits and see the post credits thing?
Yeah. No, I didn't actually. Damn.
It's pretty brief. It's not like, so it's like you got Jimmy Hart. He's like talking on a cell phone and like talking to his friend. He's like, "Oh yeah, it was great. You know, I got to see the werewolf and the Frankenstein." Like he's just like, and then he's like, "No, yeah, there was a zombie. Who cares about zombies? They're the worst." And then there's like a zombie coming up behind him as he's talking.
Damn.
And so he like turns around and is like, I'm just kidding. I love zombies. Zombies are great." And then the zombie like, drags him down and like you just hear him like yelling, "Call 911," and that's the end.
Damn it! I'm going back and watching that. All right.
But yeah, so it's a lot of fun. There's not really a plot. It like if you're looking for a very dumb 90 minutes that you don't have to think about at all, it's fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you're looking to have any sort of storyline, this is not the movie for you.
But you know what? I would say if they actually did make a sequel, I would absolutely watch that shit.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, this was made for us, I think,
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Like I found this movie on DVD in a bargain bin, like at a like, and I was just like, I saw the cover and I was like, I don't know anything about this, but it is definitely worth $3 or whatever I paid. I was like, I'm definitely taking this home, and yep, it was absolutely worth the purchase.
Listen, if you've never seen it, go watch it. Like, yeah. Absolutely, it's worth your time. It's dumb. It's like 2011 dumb. Mm-hmm. But it's still a blast. Now, here's what I want to talk about, Anthony. So we've seen the werewolf / wolfman get murdered before. He just kind of comes back.
Yeah.
So
yeah, especially like Monster Squad, like he got torn apart and the parts just come back together.
Right. So I mean, could it be a 3-way like fight in the next one if they ever make it? They're never gonna make it, but if they ever did. Like,
yeah, I feel like it would have to be one of those like Back for Vengeance kind of matches.
All right. Well, that's our imaginary sequel to this. That sounds so good. Then maybe we get some resolution with Lady Vampire and Cyclops.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that was a blast. Where can they find us, Anthony?
Yeah, you can find us on all the socials, Twitter and Instagram at The Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. We're also on YouTube at The Frankencast. That name pretty much anywhere you want to search, you'll find us.
Yep. And any interaction is good interaction, so let us know what you think, what you liked, what you didn't like, any of the above. Yeah, just give us some feedback. That lets the evil algorithm know that we're worth your time.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So those rates and reviews help a lot, especially if you listen on Apple, since they send out their data to a lot of different podcatchers. But yep, we definitely appreciate that. So next week we're finally kind of stepping away from all the silliness of wrestling.
Well, I mean, I still feel a little exploited.
Yeah. So we are doing this is going to be fun. So we're doing Blackenstein, the blaxploitation film that definitely came in the wake of Blackula, and it's a movie that is it's silly. It's an exploitation film, but it's got a little bit more going on than there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and we're actually going to be joined by a special guest. We'll get into that next week. But yeah, so see us next week for Blackenstein.
And as always, to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velazquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.